What Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism are hiding about abortion. Shocking truth, expose the biblical secret churches don't want you to know. What if I told you there's a Bible verse that 99% of Christians have never heard? A verse so controversial that many pastors deliberately avoid preaching about it. What I'm about to reveal will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about what the Bible actually says about abortion. And trust me, this isn't some liberal interpretation. This comes straight from the original Hebrew text. For over 1,500 years, mainstream Christianity taught something completely different about abortion than what you hear today. The early church fathers, including Augustine and Thomas Aquinas, believed in something called delayed ensoulment. They taught that the rational soul didn't enter the body until 40 days for males and 80 days for females. This was the official Catholic position for over a millennium. Here's the bombshell. Exodus 21:20-25 presents a legal distinction that changes everything. When there's harm to the fetus versus harm to the mother, the punishments are completely different. The Hebrew text suggests a more nuanced view of fetal life than modern evangelicals want to admit. The word used for the fetus isn't nephesh, living soul, it's treated as potential life, not actual personhood. But wait, it gets even more shocking. The famous Psalm 139:13 that everyone quotes. The Hebrew word yatsar means to form gradually, like a potter shaping clay, not instant creation. Even the Jewish Talmud, which predates Christianity, states that the soul doesn't fully enter until the first independent breath. That's why Jewish law has always permitted abortion under certain circumstances. Jesus himself never mentioned abortion once, despite it being practiced in Roman society. Instead, he consistently preached about compassion, not judging others, and caring for the marginalized. When confronted with a woman caught in adultery, a situation involving sexual ethics, he said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." The real kicker? The Bible actually contains a ritual for ending unwanted pregnancies. In Numbers 5:11-31, the bitter water test for suspected adultery. If a woman was pregnant from adultery, the ritual was designed to cause miscarriage. This is literally a biblical abortion procedure, sanctioned by God himself. What happened was that medieval theology, influenced by Aristotelian philosophy rather than biblical text, gradually shifted toward the immediate ensoulment doctrine. This change had more to do with political control than scriptural truth. The modern evangelical position on abortion isn't actually biblical, it's a relatively recent theological invention. The early Christians understood something profound. Faith isn't about following rigid rules. It's about developing spiritual discernment and compassion. They knew that life's complexities require wisdom, not fundamentalism. When you actually study the original texts without denominational bias, you discover a faith that's far more nuanced and compassionate than modern Christianity presents. Action step: tonight, spend 5 minutes researching one of these verses I mentioned in your own Bible. Don't take my word for it, verify it yourself. True faith isn't threatened by investigation, it's strengthened by it. This journey through biblical scholarship taught me that authentic Christianity isn't about blind obedience to modern interpretations. It's about connecting with the radical compassion that Jesus actually preached. When you dig deeper into the source material, you find a faith that's revolutionary, not restrictive. If this biblical revelation has rocked your world like it rocked mine, smash that like button to show you're brave enough to question what you've been taught. Comment truth if you're ready to discover more hidden biblical secrets that could transform your faith. And subscribe, because we're just getting started in covering the mysteries that religious institutions don't want you to explore. Buddhism's mind-blowing approach that changes everything. Prepare to have your mind completely blown. Buddhism approaches abortion in a way that's so radically different from Western religion, it might just revolutionize how you think about life's toughest decisions. What I discovered about Buddhist teaching on this topic isn't just surprising, it's spiritually liberating in a way that could transform your entire worldview. Unlike Christianity's focus on sin and eternal damnation, Buddhism operates on the principle of karma, cause and effect. But here's the game changer: even negative karma can be transformed through compassion and wisdom. There's no such thing as eternal punishment or unforgivable acts. Every action is an opportunity for spiritual growth and learning. When the Dalai Lama, arguably the world's most respected spiritual leader, was asked about abortion, his response shocked the religious world. He said that while abortion generally creates negative karma, it can be justified in certain circumstances: rape, incest, threats to the mother's life, or when the family cannot provide proper care. This isn't moral relativism, it's profound spiritual wisdom that considers context and compassion. But here's where it gets really mind-blowing. Buddhist cosmology teaches that consciousness isn't created at conception, it's an eternal stream that seeks appropriate conditions for rebirth. According to this view, a consciousness that can't fully establish itself in a particular body will simply continue its journey until it finds suitable circumstances. There's no killing of a soul because souls are eternal and indestructible. The concept of bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth, suggests that consciousnesses have natural wisdom to navigate transitions. From this perspective, an interrupted pregnancy doesn't destroy a being. It redirects a consciousness on its evolutionary journey. It's like a traveler changing flights. The destination remains the same, just the route changes. What absolutely fascinates me is how Buddhism transforms suffering into wisdom. Instead of carrying guilt about difficult decisions, Buddhist practice offers tools to transform any experience into spiritual growth. The meditation practice of Tonglen, taking and giving, teaches practitioners to breathe in suffering and breathe out compassion, literally transforming pain into love. Advanced Buddhist teachers like Pema Chern explained that the highest spiritual practice isn't following rules, but developing the capacity to respond to each situation with maximum compassion and minimum harm. This requires deep spiritual development, not shallow rule following. It's about becoming the kind of person whose natural response is loving kindness, regardless of circumstances. The Buddhist understanding of right action isn't about rigid commandments, but about acting from a place of wisdom, compassion, and awareness of consequences. When facing difficult decisions, Buddhist practitioners are taught to meditate deeply, consult with wise teachers, and choose the path that minimizes suffering for all beings involved. Action step: try this Buddhist compassion meditation for 7 minutes today. Visualize someone facing an impossible decision and send them unconditional love without judgment about their choice. Notice how this transforms your own heart and mind. What Buddhism taught me is that spiritual evolution happens through developing unconditional compassion, not through moral superiority or judgment. Every challenging situation becomes an opportunity to practice love and wisdom rather than criticism and condemnation. If this Buddhist perspective on compassionate wisdom resonates with your soul, hit that like button hard. Comment compassion if you're ready to develop a more loving, less judgmental approach to life's complexities. Subscribe because we're diving deep into ancient wisdom that can revolutionize your spiritual journey and transform how you see the world. Hinduism's ancient secret that will blow your mind. What I'm about to reveal about Hinduism will completely shatter your understanding of life and death. This 5,000-year-old tradition holds secrets about consciousness and the soul that are so advanced they make modern religious debates look primitive. Get ready for a spiritual revelation that could transform how you see existence itself. In Hinduism, the soul Atman is eternal, indestructible, and was never born, meaning it can never die. The Bhagavad Gita, one of Hinduism's most sacred texts, explicitly states, "For the soul, there is neither birth nor death. It is not slain when the body is slain." This completely changes the abortion debate because you literally cannot kill something that is immortal and eternal. Here's where it gets mind-blowing. Hindu scriptures teach that souls choose their birth circumstances, including parents, timing, and life conditions, based on their karmic needs. If a pregnancy is interrupted, this is part of the cosmic plan for that particular soul's evolution. There are no accidents in the universe, only experiences designed for spiritual growth. The ancient text Manusmriti provides surprisingly nuanced guidance. Abortion is discouraged after the 4th month of pregnancy, suggesting a gradual development of consciousness in the fetus. But even these guidelines are interpreted contextually. considering the mother's health, family circumstances, and ability to raise the child properly. It's wisdom-based ethics, not rule-based morality. But here's the most revolutionary concept. Great Hindu sages, like Ramana Maharshi, taught that if a soul's attempt at incarnation is interrupted, it simply means that wasn't the right time or circumstance for that particular birth. The soul remains in the astral realm until conditions align properly. It's like missing a train. You don't cease to exist. You just wait for the next one. The Vedic tradition has an incredible practice called Garbhodana, the science of attracting evolved souls for incarnation. This involves spiritual preparation of parents, astrological timing, conscious conception, and creating optimal conditions for a soul to incarnate. When these conditions aren't met, the tradition recognizes it may not be the appropriate time for that soul to take birth. What absolutely amazes me about Hinduism is its ability to hold paradoxes. Life is sacred and circumstances matter. Souls are eternal and choices have consequences. Dharma righteousness is universal and must be applied individually. This paradoxical wisdom allows navigation of complex situations without fundamentalism or oversimplification. The concept of ahimsa, nonviolence in Hinduism, isn't just about physical harm. It's about minimizing suffering for all beings involved. Sometimes the most compassionate choice might involve difficult decisions that appear harmful on the surface, but reduce overall suffering in the long term. It requires tremendous spiritual maturity to make such distinctions. Advanced Hindu philosophy teaches that true spiritual practice transcends moral positions and enters the realm of cosmic consciousness, where individual situations are seen within the context of eternal soul evolution. This doesn't mean anything goes. It means decisions are made from the highest possible level of spiritual understanding. Action step: spend 8 minutes contemplating this Hindu truth. I am an eternal soul having a temporary human experience. Feel how this perspective transforms your view of current challenges and decisions. Journal any insights that arise. Hinduism taught me that authentic spirituality embraces life's complexity while maintaining vision of the soul's eternal nature. This creates spiritual freedom that's simultaneously deeply responsible and infinitely compassionate, a liberation that honors both human experience and divine reality. If this vision of eternal soul, wisdom, and spiritual freedom touches your heart, absolutely demolish that like button. Comment eternal if you're ready to embrace a spirituality that's both ancient and revolutionary. Subscribe because we're exploring wisdom traditions that can completely transform your understanding of existence and consciousness, the hidden truth that unites all sacred traditions. Here's the life-changing revelation that took me years to discover. After diving deep into these 3 major spiritual traditions, I uncovered a hidden secret. They all share a fundamental principle that, when understood, completely transforms how we approach life's most difficult decisions. This discovery didn't just change my mind, it revolutionized my entire spiritual journey. The secret is this: all authentic spiritual traditions recognize that true spirituality transcends external rules and emerges from inner wisdom developed through genuine spiritual practice. Christianity speaks of the Christ within, Buddhism teaches Buddha nature, Hinduism reveals the Atman, all pointing to the same reality. You have direct access to divine guidance. When we apply this understanding to complex issues like abortion, something revolutionary happens. We stop seeking answers from external authorities and start developing our own spiritual wisdom. This isn't moral relativism. It's a deeper morality based on genuine compassion and spiritual discernment that comes from years of dedicated practice. The truth these traditions share is that complex situations require complex wisdom. A woman facing an unplanned pregnancy in difficult circumstances needs compassion, support, and wisdom, not judgment or simplistic solutions. Each situation is unique and deserves to be approached with the full depth of human compassion and spiritual understanding. Through my research, I discovered all 3 traditions agree on this crucial point. The intention behind any action matters more than the action itself. A decision made with compassion, wisdom, and consideration of consequences aligns with spiritual truth. even when it's difficult. A decision made from selfishness, fear, or unconsciousness creates spiritual disharmony, even when it appears correct externally. What really transformed my understanding is that these ancient wisdom traditions were never meant to provide simple answers to complex questions. They were designed to develop the kind of people capable of navigating life's complexities with love, wisdom, and courage. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice these principles and grow spiritually. The most profound realization is that spiritual evolution doesn't happen through blind adherence to rules, but through developing the capacity to hold paradox, embrace nuance, and respond to each situation with maximum love and minimum harm. This requires deep spiritual maturity that can only be developed through consistent practice and genuine seeking. All three traditions ultimately teach that within you lies the capacity to access divine guidance for any situation. When you develop this connection through meditation, prayer, study, and service, you become capable of making decisions that honor both your humanity and your divinity. You become a source of wisdom and compassion in a world that desperately needs both. The hidden teaching that connects Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism is that authentic faith isn't about having all the answers, it's about becoming the kind of person whose natural response to difficulty is love, whose instinct is compassion, and whose wisdom comes from direct connection with the divine, rather than fear-based rule-following. Action step: commit to 10 minutes daily for the next week. Sit quietly and ask for guidance on developing greater compassion and wisdom. Don't seek specific answers, just cultivate the feeling of being connected to something greater than yourself. Trust what emerges from this practice. This journey through sacred traditions showed me that real faith doesn't fear complex questions, it embraces them as opportunities for spiritual growth. When you develop your own direct connection to divine wisdom, you become capable of bringing light to the world's darkest corners. If this spiritual journey has transformed your perspective like it transformed mine, I absolutely crush that like button and share this with someone who's ready for deeper spiritual truth. Comment wisdom if you're committed to developing your own direct connection with the divine. Subscribe because we're just getting started exploring the hidden mysteries that can revolutionize your spiritual life forever.